All right, here he comes, Ed Donahue. Woo!
What I'm going to do today is something a little different. I'm going to share with you something that I heard earlier this year that in my 40 years of being an organ man, I never heard in my life. And it was one of them ones where you're sitting next to something good and then you got to jab it in the ribs and say, did he just really say that, right? So I'm going to share that story with you, and then we'll jump into this deck real quick. But first things first. So all the phones away. You don't need to take any pictures. I see some of you taking pictures of slides. You'll get this deck. Put your phones away. You folks in the back of the room that think you're real important with your laptops open, close them up right now. All eyes here for 45 minutes, and we'll see if we can get through some stuff. Is that fair? You'll get the slide decks. You'll get all this. It'll all come to you, so there's nothing that important. So all I really want you to do is just pay attention. And if you've watched any of the broadcasts that I do with Victor, one of the best received broadcasts that we did was the one that we talked about active listening. And what's one of the things that you can tell the customer that they know that you're listening? What can you ask them? What can you ask them? Some of my salespeople help me here. Sitting down with the customer, would it be okay, Mike, if I took a few notes? What does that signify to the customer? You're listening. So feel free to take a few notes. Don't play the game, Andy, that I'm going to use my iPad for notes and try to catch up on email. Pen and paper notes, no phones, no iPads. Cool? We good? All right, cool. Let's go to this one. So this is pretty cool, right? I mean, this is the Rollins way. And this thing started getting baked probably late last year. Jerry Galoff literally wrote a 2,000-word white paper on this thing and had this thing all baked, ready to launch to the field, and shared it with a bunch of the region leadership and certainly a bunch of the division leadership. And he tapped the brakes on it. And that's one of the coolest things about Jerry. You guys that had the experience with him a couple of weeks ago coming down here, he's a different cat. He's just a different cat. I mean, I am so tickled with the leadership he's bringing and just the change of mode. And this is really the center of what he's talking about. So they took this 2,000-page or 2,000-word white paper and they shrunk it down into 6 words. And I think it's so cool. And you see it everywhere now. I mean, the coins that you guys put together, you're going to see this all day. The agendas are set that way. But really, when you think about it, this is becoming now the Rollins way. And I struggled with it very early on. I didn't really understand it. And I've got a grasp of it now. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because you're all going to kick that through your meetings for sure. And it's been socialized enough now. And if you didn't watch the video that Jerry put out on Monday, this is now what they have tagged the Rollins way. They've tried to figure out how to come up with kind of a rally cry for Rollins Collective, right? And they've come up with it. And this is it, centered on really 6 words, which is pretty simple for a dumb, stupid kid from, college dropout from Youngstown, Ohio. So it works really well for me. So what happened at that meeting when Jerry launched this thing, he went through all this, told the whole process to all the bunch of you region managers were in the room, and you went through that whole process when Jerry explained the journey to get to this and how much help they had to get, even from outside counsel, to kind of help them work through this. And so it all sit pretty good. But then the thing that I heard that just kind of took me by surprise, 40 years Orkin man, probably 25 region leadership meetings, nobody had ever said this, and it was this, and it came out of the CEO of a $3.4 billion company's mouth. So the whole vision of this 2027 vision that Jerry's baked up, right, is that we will grow to be $5 billion by the end of 2027, sitting at 3.4 now. Certainly very aggressive. But what took me back was when he got to this slide, and he said, the CEO of a $3.4 billion company said, I would be okay if we weren't necessarily bigger, but we were better. And I'm like, what? Hey, man, Gary Rollins never said that. Gene Iarocci sure as hell never said that. And Freeman Elliott never said that. I've been in this culture where it's grow, right? You can't do, you can't not grow. Forget about getting better. I want the money. I want the profit. I want it driven. And I don't want to disparage the previous leadership because, this company's freaking wildly successful, before Jerry rolled onto the scene. But to hear that from my seat was so refreshing and so I've been waiting for this, right? We need to get better. We all need to know that we need to get better. We understand that. So that thing kind of stewed around in my mind and literally hit the dude. I was sitting next to Mike Lysis, and I hit him in the ribs. I said, did he just say that? And he said, yeah, I think he did. And JR's been in a bunch of them meetings. Dave's been in a bunch of them meetings. We never heard this kind of messaging, folks. We never heard it. We never heard it. So, dumb, not the smartest guy in the room from Youngstown, Catholic education, all they taught us at Catholic high school, Dan, was to, kind of genuflect, say the Our Father when we did something wrong and go to confession. They didn't teach us to be real smart. And let me tell you, Jerry Galoff, Ken Krause, Pat Chernowski, and Stanford Phillips, the guys that are running this place now, these guys are wicked smart. They're just crazy smart. So what I figured out about 3 days later, I woke up one day, I'm like, that son of a gun was playing Jedi mind games on me. Because Jerry Galoff knows what? What does he know? If we get better, we're going to get bigger. So it literally took me like 3 days to say, that's son. So as I think about what I want to talk about this year, this is my last go-around, folks. This is the last time I'll be in front of y'all. I'm checking out of here after 40 years of just a wonderful career. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. But as I'm thinking about what I talk about, I've had this job for 12 years. I am, I guess, the longest serving vice president of sales in Oregon land, and I don't know how I got it other than a whole bunch of BS and everybody at the top. And I'll tell the turkey story to you if you want to hear it. But I thought about kind of focusing my messaging, because for 12 years in this job, and since I became a sales leader in '97, helping region managers drive their sales, I've never done a branch manager's job, never done a region job. God thank your 401ks that they've never given me the keys to any operation, because I'd flat put the son of a gun right in the ditch. I got zero interest in that. Zero interest in that. I asked Chris Day what you're talking about today. I said, Chris, what are you talking about today? I'm sitting in the back. No, I'm going to talk about RFS. He said, is it okay if I skip your session? And I meant that. I'm not coming, Chris. But I thought about all the stories I've wove and told and tried to teach, and it's all been kind of on getting on my soapbox and talking tactics. Tactics. Try this. Try this. Try this. Think about approaching it this way. Why don't you look at it this way? Why don't we try this? And I got to thinking about that, and I thought, last go around, I don't want to talk about tactics. And I fell back on Jerry's messaging, and I said, you know what, I think I can do something with this. I think I can talk about getting better. And I'm not talking about me getting better. I'm not talking about you individually getting better. What if I could put some messaging together that we collectively, as a group, got better in the efforts and the hopes of getting bigger? So started thinking, and it gets scary when this thing starts smoking, the fire alarms go off because it doesn't work that well. So I thought about and took a step back and looked at and kind of analyzed what I had met in my career, successful people, and what those traits were. And I've kind of boiled them down to 3 that I think are kind of pillars that I'm going to share with you here in a minute. And just think through them a little bit, because I think certainly they've helped me along my way, and I promise you all 3 of these I am continually working on every single day. And the first one of those kind of 3 pillars or traits of what I think it takes to be successful, not in business. I'm going to go deeper than business. I'm going to get into your personal life, get into your home life. I'm going to get into your relationships, because I think that's what we need to do. We've got to become better so we can get bigger. Fair enough? The first one is this one. Ooh, that's too fast. It's curiosity. It drives me like crazy, and always has. And I've always looked at myself as a very curious person. And I felt I was really curious until about 12 years ago, 10 years ago. Phil Harris, a lot of you guys remember him, he and I had a very unique relationship. I never worked for him. He never worked for me. We were always kind of peers, kind of on the same level, kind of working together. And he told me, we had a very close relationship. I was with him a couple days before he died. I visited him probably 15 times when he was up in his house before he passed away. And he told me, he said, Ed, he said, you're not nearly curious enough. You're not curious enough. And like, I was highly offended. I like bowed up on him. Like, what are you talking about, man? I mean, literally, that's the kind of conversations we would have. And as I look back, you know, it's hard to take coaching. It's hard to take that stuff. And I think, hell, I got an ego that'll blow this room up, right? But it's hard. And when he told me that, I was like, oh my God, he's right. I can be more curious. So the first thing I would encourage you to do is be more curious. And when I see these vendors stacked up around this room, I'm talking to the branch managers now. If you don't book appointments with every damn one of these folks that have come here to do their stuff, to come talk to your team, you aren't curious enough. And in turn, you're not being curious for your people. Because the reason we don't sell a bunch of this shit, you know the reason is? Our people don't know enough about it. And you got these folks just beating down your doors to come in. So as you make your rounds around, don't give it the curtsy, pick up a couple flyers, shake a hand, and smile. Book an appointment for them to bring somebody into your team to talk about their products so that when they go out and sell the stuff, they're locked and loaded. Teach your people to be curious. I think about when I started in the business and the PCT magazines would land in the branch. Man, I read them things from cover to cover because I wanted to know everything about everything. And I'm still that way. And I encourage you to be that way because I think when you're curious and you're never satisfied, I think you can get way better. So is that cool to get a little more curious? Does that make sense? Hell, if the smartest guy in the world says that his only talent is that he's passionately curious, shouldn't we take heed? Shouldn't we take heed? So can we juice up our curiosity game a bit, right? Number one. Number two is one I work on every day, and it's this self-awareness thing. Had a young fella, I was out in Seattle, he's married, he's my wife's cousin, and they're having some trouble at home. They're having some trouble at home. They got two young kids. He's got a lot of pressure in his life. He's a high flyer. He's a high roller. He's one of these big consultant dudes, and he has a high-pressure job, and they're struggling. He said, after we leave, he says to me, he said, hey, we're going through some counseling. Would you mind answering a couple of questions? And it was all to create self-awareness for him. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is like my sweet spot. This is what I talk about all the time. Self-awareness, I think, is very difficult for us to arrive at, to really have a good look at yourself. Because I think we all have this, this romantic version of who we are, right? We have this romantic version of who we are. You know, I think I'm pretty hot stuff. I'm standing up here, the vice president of sales at Orkin. But that's not really who I am. So I think what gets in the way of really being self-aware is not letting it in. Your ego blocking that and stopping that. And I would encourage you to do one thing, and this is part of that exercise he went through for this, I guess, counseling he's going through. But I would encourage you to try to find some folks in your life that will tell you the truth, that will tell you the truth. And what I mean by that is sitting down with them and having a conversation and telling them, Mike, man, I need this. I need you to tell me the truth. I am ready for the feedback. I really need to understand what am I really good at and what do I really suck at. And then have that kind of relationship. It's hard to find those people that you can have that kind of conversation with. It's got to be a 180 back and forth. I had 3 people in my life that I could do that with. One was Phil Harris. He's gone. He and I had these conversations all the time about each other. And I tell him all the stuff you guys told me that you didn't like about him. And he didn't like that. I don't know if it changed him. Some of you probably say he didn't. But the other one was my old man. My old man left me a year ago, April. He was a tough SOB, right? He never hugged us, man. There was no self-awareness. But, man, he told you where to bear did you know what. You know, and you had that kind of relationship. I have one left. It's a guy outside the industry. He and I have been kicking this thing around for probably 15 years, kind of just having these open conversations with each other. He has a job that's similar to mine, kind of with Cintas. So we meet. You know, the HR folks tell me I'm supposed to tell you I meet him for coffee. I meet him for beers. You know, we talk through this stuff, and we get after it. And we've got that kind of relationship. So I encourage you to find somebody to do that. I can't do this with my bride of 42 years. I can't. Because if I asked her, baby girl, what am I really good at? She'd be scratching her head and stuff, right? She'd be like, yeah, you got it. Well, I'll give you this. I'll give you this. If I asked her what I sucked at, James, it would be like, I've been waiting for you to ask me that question. Boom, 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 boom. I'd be like, oh my God, why are you even married to me, right? So it necessarily can't be your spouse, but I think that we have, again, this romantic version of who we are. Everybody's got an ego. I don't care if you don't say you don't got an ego. You got an ego. And I think too oftentimes we look at ourselves through these rose-colored glasses, right? We look at ourselves through these rose-colored glasses because everybody wants to be positive, you know? You can't survive in life if you're negative, but taking those moments to sit back and reflect, and maybe you can do it by yourself, you know, doing a self-awareness check by yourself. Those are effective. I do a lot of that. I overthink everything. But try to find somebody in your life. Maybe it's a peer. Maybe it's somebody you work for. Maybe it's a friend that can give you that check, because I think curiosity, being self-aware, loads you up for the next one, and that's to invest in yourself. Now, this has been, I've championed this my entire career, investing in myself. I was a student of the game. Folks, I never sold a lick before I walked in these doors. I ended up leading this company in sales. Never sold a lick. Sold nothing. Knew nothing about sales. Hell, I went on my first date with my wife when I was a senior in high school. Never even dated. I was backward. I was weird, quirky. I was an athlete. You know, I played baseball, right? I guess some of you wouldn't consider that an athlete, would you, JB? Playing baseball. Yeah, that don't count. If you ain't playing football, in this group anyway. So what I would encourage you to do, so if the smartest guy in the world says you should be curious, Gary Vaynerchuk is the guy on self-awareness. He flat broke the internet, folks. I mean, he flat broke the internet. Broke the internet when YouTube first came out. He started up Wine Library TV, and now he has this billion-dollar ad agency. And those damn marketing folks, Brian Harrison. So for years, I've been a Vaynerchuk fan for probably 15 years, just when he was getting cranked up. And I would go to Kevin Smith and say, we got to give money to Vaynerchuk. We got to give money to Vaynerchuk. You're missing it. I even told him yesterday, Vaynerchuk's already figured out this AI on this search engine stuff. I'm a student of that, but we never did it. We never did it. Finally, after Kevin's out of here, Cam goes to Vaynerchuk and says, hey, man, we'd like to have some conversations with you. And he says, I can't work with y'all. I got an NDA with Scott's Turf. And I'm like, you guys missed the boat. Missed the boat. So if he's telling you to be self-aware and working you through that, and then is he the greatest investor ever? Warren Buffett? I mean, it's hard to argue, right? I mean, the guy's got billions. If he thinks that it's not buying Berkshire Hathaway shares, hell, nobody can afford them now, right? It's to invest in yourself. Shouldn't we heed the call and invest in ourselves? So 3 things, 3 simple things. Be curious, try to create some self-awareness in your life, and invest in yourself. Fair enough? So here's the kicker. This always used to frustrate me when I would sit in those seats. All these hotshots come in from Atlanta, they come in from the region, they come in from marketing, and they say, do this, do this, do this, do this, try this, do this. But you know what they never do? They never tell you how. So can I maybe give you some potential hows for those 3 pillars that I think are important? Can we do that? So the first one is pretty simple. I've shared a variation of this slide. Literally, I went back in my decks. I shared a similar slide of 1440 in 2001 to the Ohio region sales team. And I've been building on it. Every presentation that I've done in front of any of y'all has included some mention of investing in yourself and figuring out how to spend your 1440. Now, there are 1,440 minutes in every day. Anybody that's not familiar with this little shtick, I ask and hope that you can find 15 minutes to invest in yourself. Not work, maybe it's work, but what about personally, spiritually, financially? Find 15 minutes in your day that you can give up to invest in yourself. And you know, I've been sharing this slide for years. I got a lot of disciples. I don't know if they're my disciples, but somebody told me that they were doing the Chick-fil-A tour a couple years ago and they saw it up on the wall. And I'm like, them son of a gun stole my stuff, Andy. I don't know if they did. Maybe I stole their stuff. I don't know if I've ever had an original idea. But what I want you to try to do as we move forward is try to find 15 minutes in your day to invest in you, for you, right? I don't expect or anticipate you to do what I did. 12 years ago, folks, I gave up television. I don't watch it. I don't watch it. I'm in a hotel, and I think I got like 70-some hotel nights already. The TV never goes on. When I walk into the room and they're on, like it was last night, the first thing I do is turn it off. I don't watch television. Now, I'm not expecting you to go off the deep end. I'm not expecting you off the deep end. But can you find 15 minutes in your day to shut everything down and invest in yourself? You know, think about what we do, right? You know, trying to find 15 minutes can be tough. What I think is most important about it, and what I've got to do with everything in my life, if I want to get it done, I have to what I call appoint it. I have to put it on my calendar. So put 15 minutes on your calendar for you. For you. And I'm going to give you some stuff I think that'll help you with that. Put 15 minutes on your calendar for you every day. Because if you don't put it on your calendar, those 15 minutes are going to be gone, particularly you branch managers. I don't know how the hell you do the jobs you do with all the stuff they dump on y'all. Put 15 minutes on your calendar. Set it aside for you. Fair enough? Because if you don't, it won't happen. Again, gave up TV. I watch live sporting events. I'm not a curmudgeon. And I watch The Voice with my wife. And if it's a 2-hour voice show, it's 2 bottles of wine. And if it's a 1-hour voice show with my bride of 42 years, it's a 1 bottle of wine deal. And folks, let me help you. I don't drink wine. You figure out the rest. So, think about that. So again, there's another kind of do this. How about a how? Fair enough? So, what can you do? This slide is the result of a conversation I had with the #1 salesperson in Iowa. I was up in Iowa. It was the second kickoff trip that I'd done. And this young kid was 23 years old. He'd been working for us for 13 months. He came out of the University of Iowa. He looked like he was 12. And he was their #1 salesman. #1 salesman. I said, Bubba, how much money did you make last year? He said, Mr. D, I made $144,000. What? I said, did you ever sell anything before? Never sold anything. I got a marketing degree. Oh, there you go. Marketers market, salespeople sell. Sorry, Brian. 2 shots at you. Tell Cam I took those shots. So this young kid says to me, he says, hey, Mr. D, what? You know, I'm like super curious, right? I mean, this cat, 140, 0 sales experience, just walked out of college and just stepped in here and just slayed it, right? I said, I'm talking to him. Mr. D, what book do you recommend I read? And I've written, Greg and I think are in the same path. We've written thousands of sales books. I don't even know if that's an exaggeration. Maybe not 1,000, but certainly well into the hundreds. So he said, what book do you recommend? I said, there's one, baby. There is one. There is one go-to book that you got to buy right now. And it's the Sales Bible. And again, when I bought this book, when it first came out, Jeffrey Gitomer, the king of sales, he calls himself. He's getting old. Hell, he's older than I am. That's pretty old. But when he bought the book, he said, I want you to read this book with a red pen, a highlighter, and Post-it notes. So the Post-it notes have all fallen off. You can see the highlights and the red pen. I didn't know any better. I want to make a living. Didn't know how to sell. I didn't know anything about sales. And I read this book just as I was told. You know, I went to a meeting and somebody said, maybe you should try this. And you know what I did? I went back and did it. I didn't try it. I went back and did it. Right? So if you're recommending a book for your salespeople, I used to buy it for people, but if they're not invested in it, it's not good. They didn't buy it, they won't read it. Again, it's one of the things you tell people what to do, and they oftentimes don't do it. It's one of the frustrating things of my job and our RSM's job, isn't it? That we tell people, well, I don't understand it. That was a pretty raw. I hung out. You see all those President's Club plaques I got on my wall? I know how to sell. Why aren't you all listening to me? My biggest frustration when I made the transition from sales to sales management was, why aren't these knuckleheads listening? I'm a pretty nice guy. I can communicate. I know what I'm doing. I did it. I was in the streets. I did your job. Why aren't you listening? But that's sometimes they just don't listen. But what if you gave them a book? So instead of giving them a gift card, an Amazon gift card, or some gift card that they're going to go put in their gas tank, if you run a contest, why not give them a book? I think this investing in yourself, I think the importance there is certainly you do it, but I think a better role for you as leaders is to teach your people how to do that same thing. So if you run a sales contest and you say the biggest rack sale today, I'm going to give you the sales Bible and you got it on hand, you're good to go. How about a couple more books? This guy was one of the greatest Orkin sales trainers ever. Greg knows him very well. I love me some Doug Robinson. Doug Robinson fell out of love down here. He came down to Atlanta. He got all hung up in the politics, all that crap that goes on down there. He probably made somebody ornery, and they got rid of him. And I love the dude. The dude taught me more about sales than anybody I've ever met, other than that guy's old man. Where's Ryan at? Other than your old man. Taught me more about sales than anybody I've ever met. And he's got a book. And this is an interesting book because he wrote it because he was angry, because we made him leave. And he wrote this book, and there's not a word that says Orkin in it, but it's an Orkin sales manual. And the chapters are short, which is good for silly, stupid guys like me. So $12 on Amazon. Sell is not a four-letter word. You know, pick one up. Pick one up. What else we got up there? Anybody familiar? Sales Differentiation is a great book by Lee Salz. Buy these books for your people. Anybody familiar with Inner Excellence? Nobody from South Florida can answer. Inner Excellence. Anybody know what that book is? Anybody ever heard about it? Yes. Yes. So back during the playoffs, A.J. Brown, the wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, was leaving the field, coming over to the sidelines, and he was reading a book. And that smart-ass Tom Brady, I'm not a Patriots fan, obviously, was the announcer, and he's making fun of this dude, right? They're like chastising him. Like, can you believe it? He's going over the sidelines and reading a book. I'm like, huh? He could come over to the sideline. I'm a Steeler fan. He could come over to the sidelines like Antonio Brown and bitch about nobody throwing him the ball. Or A.J. Brown chose to come over to the sidelines and continue to invest to keep his head right during an NFL playoff game, right? So I'm thinking about that. I'm like, man, that's really weird. And then in the Super Bowl, what happened? In the Super Bowl, when it happened again, my phone come out of my pocket quicker than you can think, and I ordered the book on Amazon. JR and I read it together. Where's JR at? JR and I read it together. So think about that. A.J. Brown, last April, signed a $1.4 million guaranteed contract. Dude's at the top of his game. Does he need to invest in himself? Has he got it made? Could he put his feet up? No. Literally, between plays, he's trying to invest in himself. So think about that. If these superstars are doing this kind of stuff, shouldn't we do the same? So I saw it. If it's good enough for A.J. Brown, I'm buying it. I'm going to read it. Tough read, right, JR? Tough read. Took me twice to get through it. Had to go back through with a highlighter because there was so much stuff in there. Fair enough? Never Split the Difference. Another great book on sales negotiations. You know, this is Chris Voss. If you know what he did for a living, when he was employed, he was a hostage negotiator for the FBI. So he couldn't go to these crooks that were holding all these folks up and saying, hey, let's split the difference. You give me half your folks back. You can kill the other half. I'll take half back. He didn't have that capacity. So some of the tactics in there on negotiating price with customers are just incredibly good. So I recommend that book. And then The Perfect Close is really good. I'll skip to, so the books at the top are for salespeople. The books at the bottom are for you leaders that are in the room, some recommended stuff. Obviously, all the Covey stuff, all the John Maxwell stuff. If you've not tipped your toe into Brene Brown yet, you're cheating yourself. I mean, it's just all about this humility, all about this empathy. I mean, she's just magical at that. And then the next book, I want to make sure you understand and get this, because if you don't buy one book when you leave here, you better buy this one, because The Case for Servant Leadership, guess whose favorite book that is? Take a guess. Jerry Gahlhoff. So, do yourselves a favor. I just gave you a little sneak peek. Buy the damn book, so when he comes and asks you, literally he's got stuff in his desk that's pasted to his desk. Dave was involved in the call that we were on when we went over the book report. He's got stuff that he's kept from it the first time he got the book. It changed his career. It's going to be the whole emphasis of what we're doing as we move forward with this Rollins way. So buy that book. Buy that book. I got introduced to it like 15 years ago. I think Jerry and I were talking maybe about the same time he did, by Bill Monahan, who was an RM up in Northeast. Whose favorite book is Joe Gibbs' Racing to Win? Anybody have any idea? So let me ask you this question. Would it be worth the investment if you bought the CEO's book and invested in that? Maybe you bought the sales guy's book too, my favorite book, The Sales Bible. Maybe you buy that book. Maybe you buy that, The Case for Servant Leadership, and then maybe, you knuckleheads, you would want to buy Joe Gibbs' book, Race to Win, because guess whose favorite book that is? Mr. Bridge. So shouldn't you buy that book? Huh? Shouldn't you buy that book? So again, buy books for your people. What else can you do with books? Can you listen? Can you put them all on Audible? You know, we got these crazy, I'm going to get in trouble. We got these crazy, stupid rules where we're not allowed to talk on our phone when we're driving, which I think is a bunch of crap. But they're going to tell you it's going to keep you safer. So I didn't say that out loud, but again, I'm leaving anyway, so if they fire me, they got to severance me out, and I'll get a bigger check that way. Sorry, Kevin. Sorry, Dave. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry. They can listen in their cars. Can they listen to books? What if they put the Audible Sales Bible on and listen to Gittimer's voice talk about it as they're driving to their next appointment? What if you taught them how to learn that way on Audible? Listen to stuff. You know what most of our salespeople do? They roll around, listen to all this happy crap on sports radio, thinking their team's going to win the big game. Or even worse, they listen to all this craziness, this pure craziness that's going on in politics in our country. And I'm not going to tell you what side I'm on. But this stuff is all just wasted time in my mind. Just complete waste of time. And we got people driving around in our vehicles when they could be learning. If you teed them up, if you told them, I got 4 salespeople, I'll spot y'all Audible subscriptions right now today. Go buy them. And we'll learn together. Fair enough? You can listen to books. In addition to listening to books and helping people with books, everybody doesn't like to read. I've become a better reader here recently. I read on planes. You guys saw that note if you got my message last night. But the other thing you can do is there are these channels. Everything's available on your phone. And when I think about the thousands upon thousands legitimately that I spent going to conferences and seminars, listening to the Zig Ziglars, the Brian Tracys, the Jeffrey Gittimers of the world, as I was just thirsting to become a better salesperson because I had 4 babies that had to eat. I had to get better. And I didn't know nothing. But all this stuff today is free. It's free. You think about these ones at the top. Victor Antonio, who in my mind is the best guy for our salespeople, and I consume everybody's content. Everybody's content. I sit up 3-4 hours a night consuming content. Gittimer's the best in my mind. Gittimer has ridden with 3 of our account managers, and he's ridden with 3 of our HSIs. He knows us better than anybody. He's been hanging around with me. When was the first advanced class? Like 12 years ago, 15? I wasn't in this job. It might have been 13 years ago. He gets our game. You know what he has? He has 2,500 videos and podcasts that our people can learn from. And I think all the time I think about our branch managers and how tough it is sometimes to pull off a meeting. Man, just play one of these videos for 8 minutes and sit around and kick it around in the office and talk about it. And you're done. You've just had a sales meeting. Fair enough? So you got Gittimer. You got Victor, you got Gittimer. The Brutal Truth podcast. If you have a commercial salesperson and they're not listening to Brian Burns walk around the neighborhood with his little walk-arounds, his 2-minute shorts, there is just pure gold there. So again, you're going to get all these slides are going to come to you. So start sorting through this stuff. Jeremy Miner's kind of new on the scene. I think he's stolen all the Victor stuff. Jeb Blunt, I'm a huge fan of Jeb Blunt. I don't love him so much for residential, but I'm a huge fan for commercial. He's got game. You walk into a bookstore, he's got books everywhere, right? So again, these guys, all this stuff is free. The newest guy on the scene is Andy Elliott. He's pretty brash. He's a car salesman, and he's a little too aggressive, but his content's really good. So just kind of find some of that stuff that falls into your sweet spot and take it to your people. So the top ones are kind of like meeting hacks or tools you can use to get a little better in your game. The bottom ones, folks, are, for lack of a better word, what I've used as life hacks. And I've shared this story before, and I'll talk about Eric Thomas, the hip-hop preacher. I promise you, he has absolutely changed my life. Changed my life. Phil introduced me to him with a couple of videos early on. He showed up in Atlanta one time, and I went to see him, and it was $400 to go to the VIP session where I could sit with them with a group of 25 people. I spent the $400 out of my own pocket. I've done that 3 times. And after the first session with him, I'm from the Midwest. I'm an Irish Catholic. We don't show emotions. My old man never hugged us. I was really crappy about relationships. Growing up in the streets on the south side of Youngstown, that relationships were 50-50. You give me, I give you. You give me, I give you. So I thought all along in life that a relationship was 50-50. And I felt that way about my wife. It was 50-50. Until E.T. hit me square in the head. Didn't hit me physically, but man, it just blew me away. And he told me, he said, you got to put your bride up on a pedestal. And I'm thinking, we were married at that time. This is probably 8 years ago. We were married at the time, pushing 35 years, 42 now. And I had never thought about it that way. Hey, it's 50-50, we're getting along. We like each other, We've pushed 4 kids. We raised 4, kids. None of them ended up in jail. We did okay so far. But he told me put her on a pedestal. So my wife, I'm going back from this first seminar. It's pouring down rain in Atlanta. It's a Sunday night, the seminar was. I was moved to my shoes, man. I was up dancing, and I don't dance, right? The guy just moved me. I was in the most diverse crowd since I grew up on the south side of Youngstown, right? I was like one of the 3-4 white people in there, and I'm like, I got it, baby. I'm loving all this. I probably shouldn't have said that either, but I got into it, and I loved what he was doing, what he was saying. I loved his messaging. And when he said that, put her on a pedestal, it's planted in my brain forever. So she says, can you pick up some stuff on your way home? I know you've been at this boondoggle work thing. That's what she calls everything I do, a boondoggle work thing. So I said, yeah, I got it. So she says, going to the store, I'm going to Kroger. So I'm in Kroger's, and I'm pushing this cart in Kroger's, gathering up her groceries, because if you ask my wife what I would be really good at, I'm like the best errand boy on the planet. I can go get ice, I can go get her beer, I can go get her wine. I love going to the grocery store. So I'm in the grocery store, and I'm pushing this cart, and I roll by the flowers. Never bought my wife flowers. Maybe once or twice on our first anniversary. I was a pretty crappy dude, right? And I loved her, and she loved me. Rolled right past the flowers. Said, oh, man, E.T., you're killing me, bro. Backed up. Looked over into the bin. $29.95. There is no flipping way. $9.95, throwing them out tomorrow, got them. Put them in the cart. Took them home. Something as simple as that changed the relationship with my wife. I don't bring her flowers every day. It's more frequent. Came in. The other piece of it, too, is kind of weird because I still think, and that was like 8 years ago, I still think that she thinks at some point in time I did something wrong that I'm going to tell her about like 20 years later, right? But you talk about somebody being able to change your life, and as crazy as it seems, it started off with the YouTube video. The first one that Phil sent me, it's UOU. It is 7 minutes and 41 seconds long, and it's E.T. in New Zealand talking about UOU. Anytime I'm having a tough day, it's my go-to. Boom. 7 minutes, 41 seconds, my mind's right. Because what he tells you, it's you, baby. It's you. It's you. Quit blaming others. It's you. Get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. So just a simple hack from a simple guy that was life-changing for me. And the conversations I've had with people as I've shared this around the country, it's been life-changing for them too. Get you some ET. Get that diet going on. Thank God it's Monday. Boom, boom, boom. All right? The next one's pretty unique. Where's Cush at? So he shared this with me the other day because he saw me talk about this in South Florida. He said, I did what you said. And when I hear that, that's just like music to my ears. I took what you told me and I did something with it. I'm like, wow, that would be cool. There's 100 plus people in here. If 3 of you do something with what I talk about today, I'm happy. If 1 of you do something that I talk about today, I'm happy. 1 is better than 0. My efforts will have been worth it. So this is the one that he liked. So Mel Robbins, she has absolutely exploded on the scene. But I met Mel Robbins over 10 years ago. And I met her on YouTube. I met her on a TED Talk. She has this book now, Let Them. My wife and I did, it was really weird. I said, baby girl, I'm going to read this. You want to read it too? She said, we did it together, and then we had a book report. It was the weirdest experience ever. I mean, she had a completely different opinion of it than I did, but it was all fun. So she's got this TED Talk that she talks about the 5-second rule, and and it's 20 minutes long. It's longer than a TED Talk should be, and most are. It's about 20 minutes long, but she talks about the 5-second rule, and it got ingrained into my system the first time I watched it. And she has this rule that's like 5 seconds. Alarm rings in the morning. I don't know how many of you set your alarm this morning, but when the alarm rang this morning, I don't need a show of hands, I'm not looking for that, but when the alarm rang this morning, how fast were you on your feet? When the alarm rang for me today, I was on my feet in 5 seconds because of the Mel Robbins rule. She says, when the alarm rings, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you better be on your feet. You better be on your feet. So I've adopted that. My bride grudgingly has adopted that. Because I spring out of bed. She's like, oh, wow, I don't even like this. But that every day. So forget about getting out of bed. Think about that difficult conversation you have to have with an employee. Think about something that salesperson just screwed up and shouldn't have done. Think about your salespeople teaching them that the first time they think about picking up the phone to prospect somebody, the first time they think about anything to get that motor running, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pick up the damn phone. Have that conversation you're avoiding. Got that troublesome employee you want to talk to? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pick up the phone and call them. You see something wrong in your system? You see somebody showing up in one of your branches not looking the right way? Man, it shouldn't take 5 seconds to straighten them up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When are you going to go in the restroom and shave that stuff off your face? If you wait, that time will pass. And if you wait, that will become a bad habit that you can't fix. All right? Think about that. Try to adopt that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 timing. Does that make sense? Really simple. I mean, believe me, simple mind, thick skull, simple works way better for me. Think about that. Vaynerchuk, I talked about him a little bit. Simon Sinek, just all this stuff is out there. Again, I consume an inordinate amount of content, but I find little bits and snippets. Typically, when I leave a meeting like this, I will get pinged from 4 or 5 of you and saying, hey man, check this guy out. hey, check this girl out. Check this out. Check this out. And that's what feeds me. I'm not out there searching for stuff. I get it feedback from people. Hey, man, I just saw this. Sonia and Phil and I had a great network. We shared stuff all the time that way. She'd send me something, right? So think about that. TED Talks, I really encourage you to watch TED Talks. I watch, conservatively, 8 to 10 of them a week. And there aren't any TED Talks on sales. There aren't any. There's a whole lot on communication. There's a whole lot on some weird stuff. There's a whole lot on stuff that's going on in the world. I love the thirst for knowledge. I crave it. I want to know more. I want to understand more. Because I'm not watching, I don't even know what the shows are now, House of Cards. I'm not binge watching any of that crap on TV. And none of it matters. None of it's real. Stay real. Stay real with your people. Teach your people to be this way. Fair enough? So there's kind of a starter kit on some hows to invest in yourself. Here's one more. So I've got a YouTube channel that I don't monetize. Most of the videos are public. There's probably 50 of them that are private because they got some content in them. And I got to be careful when I post results because they can't get out to Wall Street before we do the earnings call in a couple of weeks, right? So some of them stay private. But this channel was designed to provide 5 to 8 minute videos. Sonia and I did a bunch of them years ago. I'm going back into the studio before I leave here to do it again, and I've got a list of 50 that I'm going to redo or do new ones on. But when you're looking for content for your people, you're looking for something. You woke up on Monday and you said, oh, shit, I forgot to plan a sales meeting. Just go dig one of these up and talk about it. You talk about rack closes. I've got 7 or 8 different rack closes on there. I think I still have Scott, the one that I did when we did the triple guarantee, waking up out of bed, and you did it so perfectly. I mean, that was just crazy good. Are you teaching your people? Can you teach them that way? You don't need to be the guru. What I try to tell branch managers all the time, you do not need to be the sales guru to hold a sales meeting. All you need to do is be like an NBA coach. Just throw something in the middle of the court and let them learn from each other. You don't need to be the greatest salesman in the world to be a branch manager or to be an RSM. Hell, if you were the greatest salesman in the world, you'd be Hassan Korpaz. You'd be making $385,000 last year, and you'd say, to hell with this management stuff. I'm going to go sell me some termite work. Right? You don't need to be the best. NBA coaches, just throw the ball into the middle of the court and let them work through it. You don't need to show them how you close, but could you lead or facilitate a round robin? Hey, Tim, let me hear your REC close. Dan, I want to hear yours. I want to hear yours. Mike, you're next. We're going to take turns here. We're going to listen to each other. It's the practice that created the culture that this company was built on in sales, and it's missing today. And we used the excuse years ago when we lowered the number of staff in the branches, when we cut the headcount down on sales, but that's gone. I think most all of you now have 3 or 4 salespeople. It was tough when you had 2 salespeople in the office to have a sales meeting. Just me, you, and him, Wasn't easy. Now you've got enough synergy, you can do that, right? So take advantage of it. We've lost that whole art of practicing. So grab these videos. There's a video in here, this work-life balance. Folks, this year alone, in the first 6 months of the year, we have lost $4 million salespeople that left us. There's a few of them we had to let go, but 4 folks have left us. 4 folks have left us because they couldn't figure this thing out. This is an 8-minute video that you owe it to show to your people about work-life balance. And it's a thing Sonia and I did years ago, and I promise you, I am probably the last guy on the flippin' planet that should be talking about work-life balance, but you've got to help your people. I mean, I think about Brad Connor, one of the best salesmen that's ever walked into these buildings. He left because he couldn't figure that out. He couldn't figure out home and work. He couldn't figure it out. You got people every day that are pressing that. We think they're blowing and going. They're making $200,000. The one kid that left us he made $260,000 last year. I picked up the phone and tried to call him last year to stay. He said, no, man, I'm just burnt out. We have to help them. We have to help them. You have to understand that. It might be one of them deals where, man, I don't need you to come in tomorrow morning. Let me know what's going on at home. You got to get outside the box. $4 million producers that left us making more than $200,000. 2 of them still don't have a job. Maybe they make so much money here they don't need a job yet. But in that video, I share a hack that I've taken upon myself that I use. Sonia's giving me the speed it up. A hack that I've used in my life, and it's when I come home, when I pull into the house, I leave my phone in the car. I stole it from an Ed Millette video. I leave my phone in the car for at least an hour because, folks, I'm addicted to the dopamine hit that comes when your phone dings. I can't stay away from it. But if it's in the car, I don't know. And typically when I go back out to the car to get it, sometimes I wait till she goes to bed. But if I go back out to the car and get it, there was nothing that was that important. Leave it in the car because you've got to be where you're at. You've got to be present. Teach your people to be present. Don't be calling your salespeople at 7:30 at night unless the place is burning down. Don't. They're supposed to be at home. Supposed to be at home. Fair enough? Bunch of videos there. The reason that we do the Victor and Ed broadcast, there's one reason. I didn't trust you all. You weren't doing sales meetings. 3.5 years ago, we started these broadcasts. My true belief was, you know what? These guys are really busy. I'm just going to take it out of their hands. Once a week or once a month, I'm going to provide some content. We're going to share some results. We're going to have some fun. And we're going to give them 10, 15 minutes of good content that they can kick around in their sales room. The whole idea of this is the way that Greg McCauley does it in his branch. That when we do these broadcasts, you drag them into the office, drag them kicking and screaming, bring them into the office, sit around, watch the broadcast, kick it around for 15, 20 minutes later, now you've just had a sales meeting, right? That's how that is supposed to be done. That's how it was designed. Fair enough? Getting on my soapbox. Sorry, let me move. Good players practice until they can't get it right. Great players practice until they never get it wrong. I practiced this presentation last night probably 7 or 8 times. Went to bed at 2:30. Just working it through my mind, making sure I was going to get it. I wanted to make sure that this chance with you folks that I didn't get anything wrong. That's why I'm going a little bit over. We've got these sales rooms now. We don't use them. You guys don't use them nearly enough. I don't know what the cadence should be, but you damn sure should have them in at least once a week. Putting eyes on them and having a sales meeting, at least. Whatever the cadence is in the region, you all figure that out. So this better before bigger. Hopefully I've given you a couple of tools that will help you do some of that, and you'll get this deck and you'll be able to figure your way through it. If you ever have any questions, holler. I'll be out of here April, and maybe I'll hang around and do something, but I'm not going to do this job, I'll promise you that. I've had this too long, somebody else's turn, and we'll take it from there. The one thing I would tell you, and if you this is my avatar and all the group meetings I'm on, it's a Gary Vaynerchuk line, if anybody ever did it, you can too, and I truly believe this. If anybody ever did it, you can too. There's no reason. You're just in your own way if you can't get it done. And look no further than your leadership. Don't look at me, starting out as a termite guy. I mean, that's a good story. But I mean, your leadership in the room, you got Gary Scott that started as a termite technician. Dave Bridge started as a termite salesman. JR in the room started as a termite salesman. All these guys started from the top. Jerry needs 500 more leaders. And what happens when we get 500 more leaders, we get more divisions. We're going to have another division next year in Orkin, probably going to be a commercial, and then not far behind us, another residential division. We're going to have more regions. We need more people. Take advice, get better. What I tell people here, the coolest thing about working here is if you come in here, you keep your nose clean. That's what my old man used to tell me. I didn't understand what that meant until I got older. It has a different connotation these days, keeping your nose clean, but we'll leave it that way. Keep your nose clean and bust your ass. You can do whatever you want here in this company. And look all the way to the top of our food chain, to John Wilson, whose daddy was an Orkin branch manager, and Jerry Galoff, whose dad was an Orkin branch manager. These guys tell war stories about being in the branch as kids with their dad dragging them to the branch. So if you're a dad, if you're a mom, and you have kids, take them to the branch on Saturdays. Let them meet your people. Let them understand it. Let them see what you do for a living. And you know what might happen? You might just have the next CEO of Rollins, Inc. when it's a $10 billion company, when they decide what they want to do for a living. Think about that. Both of them at the top of their chain. Other than that, I'm out. It's been an incredible run. She's cut me off.